Hello world. We spend an awful lot of time in our lives doing things. And so in this video, what I would like to talk about is doing nothing. Doing no things. Or maybe just doing one thing. So really this idea of doing nothing or doing one thing comes from my experience throughout life of, various different practices that I've done over the years: meditation, martial arts, music, walking, hiking, cycling, all sorts of different things really. And it's the idea that if you spend some time intentionally doing nothing, or what seems to be doing nothing to the outside observer, then you will start to reflect on things and you'll start to think about things, and your head will start to fill with ideas, maybe solutions to problems. And some of these ideas and solutions will be things that you can act on in the future. So really what this video is about today is ideas and coming up with a way of coming up with ideas by doing nothing. Also, I'm not following any sort of script today, so it's kind of an experiment because I'm just going to sit here and do nothing and then try and think of things to say or see what pops into my head as I'm sat here doing nothing. Of course, I'm not doing nothing because I've got a cup of tea, which I'm drinking slowly. And I've got my little fiddly gadget thing that I like to play with, probably to everyone's annoyance. And I'm just sat here in this room. Now, I will often sit and do nothing. I find it a way of relaxing, but also a useful way of thinking about things. I won't usually do it in this room, though, because this room is the place where I'm usually working on music. So for sitting and doing nothing, I will usually sit in a place which is it's very different from this. It'll probably be out in the garden or out the back of the house in a conservatory room where there's nothing in there that's going to distract me or take my attention. Or it'll be, if I'm taking the dog for a walk or just going for a walk by myself. But yeah, rarely would it be in this room. But this is the room that I'm in today because this is the room where I make my videos. Anyway, before we get too far into this video though, I would just like to invite you to hit the subscribe button if you are new to the channel. So usually my videos will be a little bit more structured than this, and I will talk about modular synthesis and creativity and making music and things like that. So if you think that's something that might be of interest to you, then please do hit the subscribe button. It really does help me and it helps the channel to know that there are people out there interested in what I'm doing. Anyway, let's carry on. So yeah, in this kind of modern world that we live in, it's often the case that high levels of productivity are praised. Being busy is praised. And if you are somebody who works in a sort of, a high energy environment or a high energy job, then being busy is definitely something that you can't avoid. However, and there are probably people who you might even be able to imagine people who sit at times doing nothing, and they might be labelled as being lazy, and sometimes people can be lazy. Let's not let's not let's not deny that. But sometimes it's not a case of being lazy; it's a case of just sitting quietly and thinking or reflecting. And this is something which I believe is very important for creativity. Really, whatever field of creativity you're in, whether it be music or art or making videos or whatever it might be. Yeah. So how's this video going to go? I don't know, because I've just sort of sat down and started talking. Let's have another sip of tea and see if anything comes to mind. So I'm trying to make this video in a way, I guess, that resembles the way that I might sit down and think about things, but also maybe resembles the way that I might make a piece of music. Sitting down and thinking is maybe sort of very similar to making music with a modular synth. What I've found over the last, so many years, and especially recently doing that 30-day challenge, is that a lot of the best ideas come when you have no idea at all, or no intention, rather, no specific intention. And so just sitting down with the synth and whatever pops into your head, just sort of try that out. And then if it sounds good, keep working on it. If it doesn't sound good, try something else. Whatever else pops into your head. And so sitting quietly is very similar to that, because when you start thinking about things, you often won't sit down with an intention to think about things, but you just sit down and ideas will pop into your head. So it's good to have, no intention. Now, what I don't want this video to be is like an instructional video of how to sit down and think, because I'm pretty sure nobody really needs that. Already I have the feeling that this video is going to be slightly odd, because I'm not really doing anything. I'm just sort of sitting here thinking and talking and filming it at the same time, which is slightly false, but that's okay. Yeah, so maybe, composing music and sitting down and thinking, there are some parallels there. And you kind of have to just, when you sit down, you have to just accept whatever thoughts and ideas pop into your head. It's useful to just accept those thoughts and ideas, and, whatever they might be, you just sort of listen to them and then let them pass on to another idea. Sometimes it might be helpful to have a notebook nearby, which I usually do. It could be a notebook, or it could be a phone, something that you can note down an idea. So if you do get an idea and you think, wow, that is a really, really good idea, and there's a chance you might forget it, you can write it down. Of course, if you have a phone nearby, there is a temptation that you will start scrolling through whatever on your phone, and that can be the death of ideation. If you're sitting with your phone scrolling through, then you probably won't come up with many ideas, because your brain will be occupied with its attention will be occupied with whatever you're scrolling through, and of course that is the whole point of all those apps and social media things that are there to sort of grab your attention and keep it focused on the phone. So it's usually best not to have the phone nearby, but sometimes, if you haven't got anything else, then you can resort to, just a quick note-taking app that you can note down an idea. But yeah, so I often find that the best ideas, that come to me, they usually come in these quiet moments when I'm sitting, thinking, drinking a cup of coffee, drinking a cup of tea, whatever, out on a walk, out in the shower. Why does that happen? I think it's because in those moments your mind switches off, your conscious mind switches off for a moment, and it allows your subconscious mind to rise to the surface, and all these things that are in there and have been bubbling away throughout the day, or throughout the week or whatever, start to come to the surface, and that's where these ideas sort of pop into your head. And they can be ideas for, there might be ideas for a starting point of a patch, or there might be ideas for making a video, all sorts of things really. The important thing is to sort of accept those ideas, and as I say, to write them down. Of course, I guess it can be difficult to find time to do this. It can be difficult to find time to just sit and do nothing, especially if you live in a busy household and people will think, what are you doing? There's, jobs to do, there's the dog to walk, there's the child to whatever, you know. So there's always something that needs doing in the house. And taking time out to sit and do nothing might be seen as I don't know, could be seen as a selfish activity perhaps, or yes. But I think it is important to try and carve out some time. And for me, it will usually be at the end of the day, or, before I go to bed, the last thing of the day, where I'll sit down with a drink. And I do try and do that, in preference to watching TV, or something with a screen. I find it also helps me to sleep a little bit better if that's the final part of the day. But yeah, it is difficult to find time to sit and do nothing. But if you are a busy person, you're always going to be you're always going to be a busy person. There's that phrase, isn't there? The tasks expand to fill the time available. So if you're busy, you've probably got a lot of tasks that need doing, and whatever time you have available will be filled by those tasks. So you kind of do have to sort of force yourself to make time, and that's the same whether it's making music, or sitting and reflecting, whatever it might be. You have to kind of make time to do that. And if you are someone that thinks that you don't have free time, you do have free time. You just have to make it. You have to, say, right, well, I'm not going to do this other thing now because I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to prioritize something differently. You have to sort of actively carve out that time for what let's call it deep thinking, creative pondering. I like the word pondering. When I thought of this video, I thought of the title. The title for this video was going to be "The Joy of Analog Pursuits," because I thought that kind of ties in with like modulars and analog synths and so on. And in my mind, I was thinking, what is an analog pursuit? An analog pursuit, something that you do that doesn't require a digital thing like a phone or a computer or even a synthesizer. Yeah, things like writing in a notebook, having a drink, staring into space, going for a walk, maybe even, going out with friends, chatting to people. I like to, from time to time, I like to smoke a pipe. which, you know, may seem odd or funny, but that is an excellent way to sit and think. And I was gonna include that in this video, but it was going to be too difficult to film, I think, so I didn't do that in the end. Yeah, analog pursuits, all of these things which help us to sort of switch off, help the mind to switch off and allow thoughts to come forward. And as I said, you know, I keep saying it throughout this video, but you have to kind of listen to these thoughts and observe them and respond accordingly. You can't force thoughts to come. You just have to sit there and wait. So that's all I've got to say, I think, really. This is a very different video, a strange video. I'm not sure that it's worked, but, you know, it's an experiment, I suppose. And that is also, you know, that's maybe a topic for another video. You never know if something's going to work until you try it. So I've tried it, and we'll see if it works. We'll see how people out there in the land of YouTube respond to this video of me sitting here doing nothing, talking about doing nothing, and just randomly reaching out for thoughts that might or might not occur. One final thought, and this is something that I spoke about in another video, I think, and it's not my idea. It came from a Peter McKinnon video, and that is to act on your ideas. Once you have these ideas and thoughts that come into your head, you need to act on them quickly, because otherwise they will go away, and you lose them. And it's not that you lose them, they're still there, especially if you've written them down. But the appeal of what once seemed like a good idea very quickly becomes not a good idea, or you start to doubt that it's a good idea. And this is true of music as well, I think. You know, you start to feel, once you start working on something. No, that's not true. Once you've made something, you can very quickly feel that it's not very good, or you start to doubt that it's very good. And if you can get it out into the world quickly, then you'll know, because people will either like it or they won't like it. And that's really the only way to know if it's any good or not, is whether other people respond to it. And I think there's a similar thing with ideas. If you come up with an idea and you don't do anything about it, you know, so you've got all these ideas. I've got a huge list of ideas in a document and in notebooks and all sorts of things. Too many ideas to put into action. And these are all really good ideas that I've written down, but because too much time has gone by, I look through the list and I think, I'm not sure about that. That's not the great idea that I thought it was. I think I need to come up with something else. And so I don't put that idea into action. Whereas if I'd had the idea and then very quickly, you know, that day or the next day or whatever, moved and put that idea into action, then I probably wouldn't have those doubts about the idea. I don't know, I reckon you have like a few days after you've had the idea before the doubt starts to set in. But yeah, that's probably a different topic. So, I think we're probably reaching the end of this video where I'm sitting doing nothing. So really, I haven't said an awful lot. But what I have said is that ideas come when you least expect them. And the best ideas will often come when you're doing nothing. If you feel that you're blocked, you've got a creative block and you can't come up with ideas, or you've got problems and you can't solve them, the best thing that you can do is to sit and do nothing. No phone, no TV, no computer. Just sit by yourself, maybe with a drink, cup of tea, cup of coffee. Just sit quietly and let your mind drift. Let it wander and see what pops in there. Okay, it's probably taken me about 25 minutes to say very little. But that's okay. I'll put some nice music with this video perhaps, and then it might be nice just to listen to it. Anyway, I think that is all for today. So thank you for watching. If you have managed to watch to the end of this video, well done. And I will see you in the next video. Cheerio.